What's poppin' my corns? Welcome to Step Back Tonight, the evening show, the nightly show. Not nightly, it's not every night, but the Tuesday nightly show where I hang out with y'all. We have a few. Oh, don't want that to happen. We have a few. We chill out. We drink some water. We have a nice, relaxing evening, talking about stuff and things and goings on in the world. So many things are going on, but I just want to get a quick rundown of a few little bit of front matter before we get into getting into the chat and answering your questions and all that kind of stuff. So my name is Tristan. I'm the host of Step Back History. If you haven't watched the show, if you haven't watched my YouTube channel or my Twitch channel, you can find my work at stepbackhistory.com for YouTube. And if you'd like to watch me on Twitch, you can go to twitch.tv/stepbackhistory. I stream on, this is all going to be Eastern time, so Eastern Standard Time, New York time, basically. I stream on Mondays from 12 to 2 with Mia Mulder, which I think some of you saw yesterday. And I stream on Tuesday nights from 7 to 10, which is what you're watching right now. And I want to introduce to you guys that I'm doing a third stream on Fridays known as The Reactor. And this one is going to require a little bit of audience participation. So, hang tight and please hear me out. So, I am going to be looking at YouTube videos and memes and content and things like that you want me to look at, talking about it, laughing at it, just generally going on a fun party together. And I need user-submitted content, stuff that you guys found interesting. Cool videos you came across, cool, like, well-written tweets, memes, things that you think would, you know, would tickle the fancy of Step Back viewers. And there's a few ways that you can do it, and we'll go through all of them. So number one, you can go to the Step Back Discord, and if you join the Step Back Discord, you can post in the Reactor channel any content that you come across. Also, if you use the hashtag StepBackReact on Twitter, you can send it to me that way. If you don't use Discord or Twitter, I'll find some other way to send it to me, I guess. Maybe you can send an email to stepbackchannel@gmail.com, I guess. Or Tristan@stepbackhistory.com, I should say. That's an easier one to remember. Okay. I go by he, him pronouns, if anybody doesn't know, and my stuff can be found. Yeah, I already did that. If you are, this is my message for all of you guys on Twitch right now. If you have Amazon Prime, on Amazon Prime, if you have that, if you have it already, it gives you one free subscription to a Twitch creator of your choice every month. And if you don't use it, that money just goes to Jeff Bezos's dangerous lethal sea bass collection, which he uses to devour anybody who tries to unionize at the warehouse. And if you use it, then that money gets taken away, and the deadly sea bass are contained. If you use it to help an independent creator, all good to you. And if you use it to help me, if you use it to help my work, you can do so, and it would help immensely. You know, rent, cats, that's all the things. So I actually have now a combined chat. I found out how to make that work. So I'm not going to be aimlessly bouncing between the two chats. I can now see both of them commingled, and I can see where it's coming from. So I'm going to try to keep up with the chat, because if anybody is here, because this is like my second stream on YouTube now in like over a year. If this is your first time seeing me stream, which is fairly likely you might be, I tend to try to keep up with the chat. The problem is that you guys talk so fast and I ramble so much that I tend to get pretty far behind. So forgive me in advance, because I'll be answering questions that are, that were posed in quite a while ago. Other things I want to do while I'm here is, if you haven't checked it out yet, about 2 weeks ago I made a video called I Ruin Apartheid by Making It Political. It's my latest video. Very proud of it. And I'm working on my next video, which should be coming out on July 31st. And right now I'm in the phase where I'm reading books and stuff. And I was just reading a book today on pre-Columbian. It was an archaeology book. I have never read an archaeology book. I didn't know how they care so much about pottery. I was reading an archaeology book on pre-Columbian Puerto Rico, which is kind of cool. So that's a thing. Okay, let's see what's going on. Hey, Lartalk, thank you for following. Welcome to the Orc Gang, much appreciated. Okay, listening from Argentina, awesome. What's the topic today? That's up to you guys. Oh, Reclamative, thank you for subscribing.
Looking forward to the upcoming focus on violence, racism, and politics. Also as subjects of your videos.
Yeah. I decided to, plan out the next 6 videos that I'm going to be making. Actually, the next 7 videos. I just spilled a bunch of water on myself. And so, looking at my next 7 videos, I'm doing a lot of stuff in the U.S. and a lot of stuff to do with racism and hate and race and police brutality and political violence and all that kind of stuff. So that's like, get ready for that. More of the step back content that you crave. Did you know that the biggest company in my country of Brazil until around the 1960s was a Canadian energy company called Light? Have you ever studied Canadian imperialism? I haven't studied Canadian imperialism. I did not. I know that Canada has. This does not surprise me. So Canada is a country that, while it doesn't have colonies of its own, if you were to know how Canada functions and who really has power in Canada, we're essentially a collection, a consortium of powerful resource extraction corporations that pretend to be a country. I think Canada has got three of the world's most powerful mining corporations are Canadian, and they have mines set up all over the world, especially in places like Congo. And it would not surprise me that a Canadian energy company was in Brazil, and I just realized why I spilled a bunch of water myself, because I screwed this on wrong. They meddled in elections and helped the military coup. That does not surprise me at all. I'm very sorry that my people did that to you, Sargon of Akkad, which is a great name. Oof. I tried to pop up the chat and it murdered my browser window and all my tabs. Oh no. Greetings from Brazil. Well, thank you. Here you guys are having a real rough time with COVID. What's the new story? Didn't the new story come out today that Jair Bolsonaro's got COVID for the second time? This guy's almost died how many times now since he's taken office? Ugh. Mark's anime, perhaps. Ooh. Quentin Ambrose, hey from Indiana. Hello. I go to Indiana quite a bit because my wife is from Indiana, so I spend my Christmases typically in Indiana. So hello. Check out Tristan's OnlyFans. Only comrades. Oh boy. Hey, cool, I don't think I'm recording these live. Well, Microsoft Word technical support, you're about to enjoy the wonders that is my wonderful streaming setup. Good stuff. We're gonna have fun tonight, don't worry. Are you more relaxed than normal? You seem somehow chiller than usual. I feel like I'm nervous. But I don't know, I tried to make myself one of the things I've been trying to do is trying to keep the energy up, keep the energy going. And one of the things that I've been doing to do that is I took a short naparoonie right before I started streaming, and it seems to have done quite a bit. But also now I can be a little bit more energetic because I have my own office now. For those who were not here for the stream yesterday, obviously I'm in a new place because I moved to London, Ontario, or moved back to London, Ontario, I should say. And now I have to a much bigger place because I'm no longer in Toronto, so I can afford a place that, is not a shoebox. And so now I have my own office. It's pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. Found a reason to get Twitch. Nothing good about Bezos. Yeah. Deadly Seabass Pro Shop is now gone. Thanks, Jeff Bezos, for your small business support. Oh dear. Is J.K. Rowling so rich and famous that discussion about the ethics of financially supporting don't really apply to her? The other day I heard someone argue at that point that if she never sold another book or screenplay, she already has the means to harm the LGBTQ movement as much as she could possibly want. So you might as well keep buying her crap. I mean, if that's a way you want to justify it to yourself, in my mind, it's do you want to, even if it doesn't do anything, do you want to participate? Is the big question. Do you really want to be a participant in J.K. Rowling's very problematic recent history when it comes to everything when it comes to her being a transphobic bigot. Yeah, it might be a spit in the bucket, but the thing is, the main thing, and I think that this is actually where not buying J.K. Rowling stuff is really going to be a big deal, which is like keeping Harry Potter relevant. Like, her power comes from the fact that that Harry Potter is still relevant, and she still makes things that are Harry Potter branded. And as long as Harry Potter is like the most successful franchise of the last like 30 years, it's she's going to have a lot of power. And I think that refusing to participate, don't go to see Fantastic Beasts Part Pie or whatever. It's like, obviously it's not a whole lot. Like, obviously you choosing not to buy the Harry Potter books now is not really going to make a dent in her massive fortune. But I do think that if you are to publicly state that you do not like, you're not going to go watch a new Harry Potter movie, you're not going to go read the new Harry Potter book or whatever it is that she ends up doing, then what will come of that is she will become not financially viable to work with anymore, which will mean that she will no longer be relevant. She can no longer sell books. And hopefully you can maybe not stop, but you can at least stem the growth of a person who is very rich and using her power and influence to spread misinformation and hatred towards a class of people, which is fucked up. Hey Tristan, got Victoria 2 a few weeks ago. I hit a wall playing as America, so I started a new game and released as many nations as possible in North America. It should be interesting. Awesome. Good stuff. It's fun stuff to do with. YouTube's chat pop-up feature is trash. It killed my browser, and I have to state in this in both chats. Oh boy. If she runs again, do you think the Democratic establishment could be magnanimous enough to let Warren have a real shot in 2024? Or do they think they decide she's too far left like they did Bernie? I think that... I'm not sure. I feel like the Warren... Let me just turn on the light here a little bit. I feel like I'm like washing myself out a little bit. I feel like... So like if in theoretically in 2024 Warren decides to run for the presidential nomination for the Democrats, Bernie's not going to do it again. He knows his moment is done, which, that sucks. Warren... So there's going to be a lot of... There's going to be a lot of ruptures to repair. She has a much less strong progressive record than, say, Bernie does. So getting like the left, getting the Brotherhood of Bernard to go to her side might be a harder sell than you think, especially if somebody more progressive runs. But let's say that doesn't happen. Let the kitty out. It's more that I just moved, and he's not handling all the space well. So he's like spent most of his life living in a tiny apartment with two people who are around pretty much all the time, and so he's got anxiety about all the space, I think. Phoebe's here though; she's fine. She's taken to it very well. But that wasn't your question, was it? Would the Democratic establishment let Warren have a real shot in 2024? And I think so. Like, they were pretty much ready to let her be the nominee at one point. It's because she is moderate enough, and she is very, like, as you saw with her, like, backpedaling on Medicare for All, like, if the party tells her to do something, she'll do it. She will betray her own positions in a heartbeat if it means that there's less party, infighting. So, I think they would. The thing that Elizabeth Warren did that destroyed her is that she backed away from her progressive positions. And so what will happen, and that's the big problem that she'd always run into in 2024, is that what the party wants her to do and what she's inclined to do will run at odds with, what's it called? That will run afoul of her support, who are like center-left liberals, like people who have columns on Vox.com, people who who their Twitter bios until last week were what their Harry Potter house was. So those people are going to be the ones who might have trouble or back away. But we'll see. I think there were a lot of actual actual socialists who were on Elizabeth Warren's side until she started playing super fight against Bernie, and it led to some people backing away. And they're gonna need 4 years to forget a lot of the things she did during that period. All right. Does ACAB apply to security guards in government buildings? I have no idea. I don't really know all that much about the security guard industry, to be fair. I imagine most of the time that government buildings probably hire private security firms or private security guard firms. In which case it would be whatever you apply to security guards. Who, I'm not sure. Is it abusive to homeschool your kids so that they can fill their heads with right-wing propaganda? It's not good. I don't think I would go to the extent of saying it's abusive. Abusive is a different set of categories, but I would say that it's definitely not a thing that should be encouraged, and probably not a thing that parents should be able to do easily. That's for sure. All right. A wingless monkey in the chat. This must be a leftist stream. Oh yeah. Hello. Hey, wingless monkey's a famous person. I see. My favorite two liberal podcasters basically said, yeah, he probably did it, but Trump is still the worst evil. Is that better than just pretending the accusations don't exist? Slightly, but then I'm it's still dismissive. It's still dismissive of yeah, Biden committed sexual assault. Biden is a rapist. And that the fact that was exposed and did not turn the tables at all is a really bad problem. So yeah, I'm not a fan, to be honest. I still think that it's I think that there needs to be a real reckoning over and we talked about this yesterday with Mia, that the people who completely abandoned all of their believe women, abandoned all of their positions when it came to all the Biden staffers who deleted all of their tweets about Brett Kavanaugh, all of that stuff, right when the Tara Reade stuff started to come out, those people have shown that a lot of the liberal, the Democratic centrist liberal people had a position that was against sexual assault that only went skin deep. And we should have known this earlier, because there was a lot of people who claimed to have a lot of belief and support for the Me Too movement, but they refused to have that conversation about Bill Clinton. And now that Joe Biden has that same thing, that it has resulted in them also being well, this rapist is on our side, so we're just not going to worry about that anymore. We're just not gonna in this case, we're just gonna not believe women. And that's Jesus Christ, I hate it so much. And then citing articles by well-known grifters like the Krasensteins as their quote unquote evidence. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. It grosses me out so much that so many people's feminism is so shallow that it really only applies to when people from parties you don't like do it. How does one find this Discord you mentioned? Let me, I'll get you guys up an invite right now, actually. So, I'll send an invite to both chats, and you can join the Discord. So, okay. Scroll up back to where I was. How does one find this Discord you mentioned? Yeah. Okay. Question: would Puerto Rico be getting the most hurricane aid if it were getting more hurricane aid if it were a state? Probably. Yeah. If it was a state, it would probably at least get some more attention. Just because FEMA would be more inclined to get involved. The thing about Puerto Rico is that because it's a commonwealth and not a state, the United States can sort of treat it like it's a different country when that's convenient, and then treat it like it's a state when it is not convenient, or when it's easy for them too. So that's like, you know, that's my statement on that. So yeah, I think that Puerto Rico would lose a lot of its independence, but would be able to get more of that, like, strong American, you know, as far as American aid can actually be good. It will get access to that from being a state. Which, like, you know, it's a hard decision for Puerto Rico, obviously. And I don't exactly know, like, deciding which way to go with that is, yeah, it's difficult. I don't wish that decision on anybody, that's for sure. Oof. Okay. Let's see. What do we got next? All right. Hey, Matt Lipton. Oh, yeah. You know how some nerds obsess over build models of World War II ships? Oh, yes, I do know that because one of my friends in undergrad was one of those people. Do you think there will be cruise ship nerds in 50 years? I don't think so. I think that the fact that they're military things is what makes people the nerds. Although there are people who are really into railroads and trains, so maybe it's a thing. You know what? I can't say that there will be none, but there will probably be some cruise ship nerds. They're, you know, huge pieces of engineering, that's for sure. Do you think it'll be safe to open schools next year? I don't know if it's going to be safe to open schools until probably the point when there's an actual, like, I don't think there's going to be a actually safe time to go to school until there's a vaccine. I really don't see any other way of doing it. There's going to be, like, from what I can tell, the way Ontario is doing the next school year for high school students is they're having a rotating thing, which, like, might help a little bit. I think it's, you know, it's not as good as I think that, like, we should be more socially distanced than that. But there's going to be, like, a thing where students are going to be able to rotate in and out. So students will be going to school in person, like 1 or 2 or 3 days a week. I think it's 2 days a week. And then they will be going from, they'll be working from home the other 3 days. So they'll probably work on that or something. But I think that's still too much. The problem is that kids not being in school has meant that parents have had to do the double duty of maintaining their jobs and childcare, and that is a lot to ask of them. And there's no aid, which is lovely. Fucking hell, man. Capitalism. All these capitalist states just, like, completely are unable to do anything for the people that are suffering so much because of everything that's going on. batten down the hatches. Oh, because some new people are coming into the Discord. Oh my goodness. I love just somebody in I love that in Discord or in the Step Back Discord, someone's just like, I don't know, Tristan reads the chat or something. I don't watch his channel anymore, so I don't know what he's doing. There's like one of the most like active members of my Discord just like doesn't like my work and doesn't watch Step Back anymore, which I think is hilarious. Okay. Remember the other week when everyone was celebrating because the Supreme Court sent down a few not insane rulings? The other day, one of the guests on the Majority Report pointed out that's probably going to take all the momentum out of the movement to pack the court, even though it's still probably necessary to achieve any left-wing goals. Agree with that? Yeah, I do. These the energy of like, we need to change, like the Supreme Court in the U.S. needs to fundamentally change if you want to make any like real fundamental like big programs like the New Deal or anything like that to happen again. And unfortunately, because Americans have very, very short attention spans, anytime there's a new change of government, or anytime there's a Supreme Court decision that liberals like, and you'll notice this also happens when Democrats get elected president. As soon as a Democrat's elected president, a bunch of liberals will just stop advocating for big reform on the Supreme Court. They'll just go silent, and they'll just not care anymore. And just wait for all those people who only got into politics in 2016 or after 2016. Once it looks very likely that Biden's going to win the election. When Biden wins, expect there to be no mainstream media criticizing the president. Expect there to be like some people you'll be surprised by. Some of your favorite bloggers and content creators will stop being as critical of American foreign policy and the things going on, and it'll just you will realize just how alone the left can be sometimes, which sucks. Do you think it would be accurate to describe the government that carried out the Rwandan genocide as fascist? It's hard to tell, because the thing is, what happened with the Rwandan genocide is that the Rwandan genocide was instigated by a sort of coup. To call it, I guess there's definitely a fascist element to it. But the thing is that a lot of the Rwandan genocide wasn't carried out by soldiers. It was done by, normal people killing their neighbors. That's the scary part of the Rwandan genocide, is that it didn't actually require a whole lot of, police and soldiers to carry out the violence for them. Now, some did, but, very often just, giving a bunch of people machetes and saying, go kill the enemy, worked, which was really nasty. And the government that was ousted, sort of in a coup that kind of sparked the Rwandan genocide, resulted in a multi-year-long war that ended with the coup governments losing and the old government coming back to power. So it's not great. It's not great. To call it fascist, you'd have to figure out, fascism has that kind of super nationalism type thing, and I'm hey Daddy Niels, thank you for following, welcome to the Orc Gang. And so I don't know if the government that committed the Rwandan genocide was nationalist specifically. I mean, it probably was to some extent, but I'm not confident enough to say so. Why do both fascist and communist dictatorships end up looking kind of similar and having sort of similar institutions like secret police? leaders of cult personality, obsession with militarism, etc. I think that those are. I don't think that it has more to do with whether or not they're fascist or communist. Those have to do with authoritarian societies. That's authoritarianism, whether it's on the left or right. If you need a secret police, if you have your leader built a cult personality, and you have an obsession with militarism, that's a sign you're living in an authoritarian society. Whether or not you're doing it to redistribute wealth, or if you're doing it to build a white ethno state, is a different aspect, I guess. This is why I don't like authoritarianism, because you know that you're not doing something right when you need a secret police to keep yourself functioning. You know how people try to come up with rationalizations for why well-liked historical figures weren't monsters for owning slaves. I see that you watched the I'm trying to remember what that channel's called. The Renegade Cut video that came out today. This sounds like it's related to the Renegade Cut video that came out earlier today. Do you think people that with historical well-liked capitalists under capitalism was abolished, like, will Star Wars fans living under gay-space communism insist that George Lucas wasn't a bad guy just because he was a businessman? It could happen. I could definitely see that happening. There's what's it called? There was I think it was like in Star Trek Discovery. They live in gay-space communism, and they had one part where the captain was talking about Elon Musk as like this legendary inventor. So like I could totally see bullshit like that happening. Why is the chat not merged on stream if the chat is merged for you? That's a good, because I don't know how to set that up yet. I have to figure that one out. I'm still adjusting to trying to, juggle these two things. Did you hear that the U.S. is leaving the WHO? Yeah, that was a long time ago. And on one hand, it's bad because the WHO is like a pretty important organization. But on the other hand, WHO is also a nonprofit that is run by, fucking, what's his name? Bill Gates. It seems like it's like a organ of the UN, but it's actually not, which is sort of weird. Do you do viewer call-ins? I do not. I basically do like kind of reading the chat thing like you're seeing now. I'm not sure if viewer call-ins would work that great because they're hard to, like, what's to stop somebody from calling in and saying a bunch of racist shit? That's kind of the thing that I'm worried about on that. I hope we got COVID, to be honest. The country feels like it has no government right now. Yeah, I've heard that Brazil's not really doing all that much to manage COVID. Hey Tristan, how are you? I thought you stopped using YouTube. I did, but then my friend Thinking Slime came to me and asked me to give doing this Thinking Slime started streaming back on Twitch or streaming back on YouTube again. And when I talked to him about it, he said that it was actually a much better experience than it was when we both left. And on top of that he's like, it's going way better for him doing this on YouTube, where you get to benefit from the fact that you have that it's on my channel, that it's views going to Step Back History, that on the side, is this the right side? Yeah, like on this side there's going to be a bunch of Step Back videos for you to watch, that like all those things come together result in like it being a better more vertically integrated experience for YouTubers to stream on YouTube, which makes sense to me. We'll see what happens, because also this is a financial decision. Like Twitch and YouTube are a significant, or not a small part of my income now, and so I got to think about what works out best. And Thoughtslime tells me that he's had a lot of luck with super chats, so see what happens. I just want to be real with you, because like I said, when this stuff becomes your job, you have to consider weird things like that. So I'm just going to try both for now and see how it goes. But yeah, trying to set up a whole new audience on a new platform maybe wasn't my smartest strategic decision. But also, YouTube Live back then really sucked. Maybe it's a lot better now. It's been iterated on quite a bit. You have started a campaign in Socialist Ireland. Okay. Suppose there was a major pandemic in 2004 and the Bush administration handled it the similar way to how Trump handled COVID. Do you think John Kerry would have won? I think you asked this yesterday. I do think that John Kerry would have won in such a situation. Although there was something like in the same vein as this, which was Hurricane Katrina. But Hurricane Katrina, let me just make sure here. Because Hurricane Katrina was a disaster that was done, and it happened in 2005, which is the year after George Bush's re-election. So Hurricane Katrina was a lot of people thought that like Bush was already like on shaky ground when he got elected. It's just that John Kerry was such a bad candidate that that George Bush was able to win. But like Hurricane Katrina really made everybody fucking hate him. Hurricane Katrina. Whoa, sorry about that. I just wanted to check my live numbers so I could see that. Cool. So that's the way I would see that. Hurricane Katrina was a disaster. And it did hurt Bush's numbers quite a bit, and he had a huge loss in the 2006 election. So my guess is that, if something like COVID happened, which would have been way, way worse than Katrina, then definitely there would have been some major issues with... The office looks great. It's only missing a bit of black and red ANCOM and SEN flag. That's what I meant. Oh, I've got that. I've got that somewhere. I've got all sorts of flags actually that I can get set up. Because now, like in the past, I had only one flag I had my anarchist flag, and it's back there. I just got to hang it up. I have to go to the art store and buy a bunch of stuff to hang up in my background. Because I also, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but is it a little bit of echo here? Can you guys tell there's a little bit of an echo more than there was in the past? And that's because it's in the image. Not really. It's right behind me. If I were to duck out of the way, there's a box full of my soundproof foam that I need to hang up on the walls still. And I need to go to the art store to buy some stuff to do that. So, but I haven't been able to go because it has been 33 to 34 degrees every single day since I moved here. And the art store is several kilometers away. So it's a bit reverby in tone. Yeah, so I need to get my my soundproof foaming up for that, and I need to have the temperature go down a little bit so that I can not pass out while wearing a mask and walking probably like 3 or 4 kilometers to the closest art stores. So, and I'm going to need to do that. So like right now I'm playing chicken. I was like, can it cool down enough that I can go? Is this your new house? Yes, it is. It is my new house. So it needs to cool down enough that I can go, or I'm gonna have to like get a taxi or something. And I don't really want to do that, but I'm probably going to need to before I film the Puerto Rico video, which will be in about 2 weeks. So we'll see. I'm holding out to save myself money because I really don't want to spend that kind of money to go to a hardware store or go to the I already spent that money to go to a hardware store because I forgot to pack the coax cable for the internet. But to go to the art store to get like art boards. So okay, maybe I'll show you guys actually. Why not? So you've probably seen with a bunch of podcasters and stuff like that, this stuff. It's basically just like a sponge, but it is this is noise foam. And you see, we're going to do, I went to audio engineering school, so we're going to do a little bit of acoustics here, friends. So when you talk in a room, you probably notice that if you talk in an empty room, you hear an echo. What that is that your voice is, a vibration and is vibrating off the walls. And so things that have hard surfaces, desks, those things back there, the walls, the ceiling, are all reflecting my voice. So one of the things that people do is they get sound foam like this, which you can see is it's very triangular, so it bounces a lot of stuff around, but also it's foam, so it absorbs, it has a lot of surface area, and this foam absorbs sound. So I bought some paneling of this. I'm probably gonna have to buy a lot more for this room, and you put it up all over the room, and what it will do is it will cut out a lot of the echoing sounds and make this room have a better sound for recording audio. Yeah. And I had it set up in my office at the last place in Toronto, but you couldn't see it because it was on the wall that's sort of behind the camera here. Because my office was probably like this wide, like it was probably like 6 feet wide and like 8 feet long, maybe like 10 feet long. It was a very small office. This office is huge, so I need to like get a bit more space. To stop all the standing waves, is what they're called. Not only reverberation, but standing waves, which are like you want to get real nerdy. So like the size of the room has a resonant frequency, and if your voice hits that resonant frequency, it's going to make that, and I could hear it too. There's a certain frequency of my voice that gets sort of amplified because the tone of my voice is hitting the resonant frequency of the room, and you need to deal with that as well. But don't worry, the anarchist flag is safe. It is currently, I think it is, yeah, it's just down there. It's just rolled up. I need to like go get some nails or something to put it back up on the wall. Let's see. Is anyone feeling a little bleak lately? Just remember, historically, the latest increases in egalitarianism and inequality come after plagues and wars. We hope so. So much cringe. Oh yeah, so much. Hey, I tried to ask a question about transphobia, but your auto mods keep blocking it. Can you see it? I haven't seen it. Let me check. Maybe if I scroll up, I can find it. Okay, yeah. I think I got it fixed. So let me just check this question real quick. Let me see. Let me find it. Okay, do you know how in the UK we have all these transphobes who like pretend they're liberal and feminist and have rational reasons to be concerned about trans people? Is that better or worse than all the American transphobes who just come out and admit that trans people are abominations against God? I don't really see them as I don't see them as morally different. Honestly, they're both reactionary and cruel. So I don't particularly I don't particularly think that either of them are of any sort of value. It's good water. Okay, let's see. Given how random COVID was, we might end up living in the 1% possible worlds where Trump was elected in the first place, where Trump only got one term. Do you think I'm right about that? If yes, does something like COVID kind of show that historical determinism is BS? I mean, historical determinism is always a little bit BS. Let's see. Given how COVID wasn't that random, like the thing is, like the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic was something that we were always expecting to do, and also the poor handling of COVID. Like Trump could have handled COVID in a way that would have made his approval numbers go up if he actually responded to it and took it seriously and did the things that needed to be done. He could have actually done it, but he didn't. So I don't know if Trump would have lost the election necessarily just because if the COVID crisis had happened. It definitely, and also the fact that they very poorly, the infrastructure of America was always very weak to handling a pandemic, and a pandemic was always inevitable, so this was always going to happen. But if Trump had handled it better, it would have been a different situation. What do you think about Chomsky's comments? So you're talking about that he signed on to this letter showing concern about liberals' attacks on free speech. I think that it shows a gross misunderstanding. Oh yeah, and also someone said the CDC's been underfunded for years, and on top of that, the pandemic plans got taken out by Trump too. So, as Reclam Alive just pointed out. So Chomsky signed on to this thing that this magazine put out that is this I don't know what Chomsky's on, honestly. I don't know what's going on with Chomsky. I always thought he was better than this, but here we are. It makes me sad, that's for sure. How to process it is a good question, but I don't agree with him. Obviously, I think that Chomsky's I think that the concept of free speech as something that needs to be, hey, Vatamana, thank you for following, welcome to your gang. That having absolute free speech where there is open platforming of every right-wing bigot that you can have is not free speech, because there's really no such thing as truly free speech. Because by allowing all speech and allowing the speech of people who use said speech to basically deny the humanity and shout down and try to silence and kill people of other groups is, negating their free speech. If you want to have a total free speech where white fascists can come onto campus and say white supremacist stuff to their heart's content, just know that you're not really exercising free speech. You're exercising free speech for the dominant class of society, which is going to be white men. Because having a fascist come and talk about white supremacy on campus is going to result in people of color and queer people and women and all the groups that are treated like shit by society to be in a hostile environment where they're going to be discouraged from speaking and discouraged from saying things. And also it's always enforced one-sided too. The thing is, we always talk about free speech when we're talking about Milo Snuffleupagus coming to speak on campus. But the fact that Noam Chomsky, as an example, that Noam Chomsky is never allowed on MSNBC, or the fact that socialist speakers don't really get invited to even come to these talks in the first place. It's always the right-wing speakers. And it seems like we're always we're always talking about giving free speech to horrible right-wing monsters, but we don't talk about what letting them speak does for suppressing other people. And we also don't use free speech to talk about having a diversity of ideas, like saying having left-wing speakers come, because it's very rare that left-wing speakers come to talk at universities, I've noticed. I worked for what's it called? For example, I'll give you a story from my own experience. So one of my master's degrees is in American Cultural Studies, which I did at Western, which is actually like in London here, and the Center for American Studies used to be this very well-funded department. It was this nice small program that was doing very well. Hey, Miss Steelers, thank you for following. Welcome to the York Gang. So, when I was a young lad, oh gosh, what's going on? Oh no, the chat has a limit. Okay, I gotta save all this. So the university that I went to, we had a speaker come who criticized wealth inequality in America as part of the American Studies speaker series. And that resulted in me having to, it resulted in the rich donors to the organization pulling their money out, and basically the American Studies program collapsed, and it's a shadow of its former self now. If that's not suppression of free speech, I don't know what is. And that kind of shit happens way more often than people protesting Ben Shapiro coming to be a dork on campus or whatever. So that's my take there. Love your username, by the way. Me too. Let's see. Luckily, the new movies are dog shit. Yeah, they are pretty bad. Okay. I gotta scroll some more. Honestly, I don't really think about Harry Potter all that much. I guess some people are super into it, but it feels outdated. Yeah, it's definitely more of like an old millennial thing, and it's already like kind of passe. Millennials have more shit to get worried about these days. Should Joanne write a cis fragility book? Oh boy. There's no way Warren pulls in the left. Yeah, she's kind of burnt that bridge pretty badly. I was so tempted to tweet photos of grass at J.K. Rowling. Oh dear. Congratulations. Oh, cool. The only reason Bernie attracted the left was because his entire political career had been about as far left as any high-profile American politician. Yeah, it's going to be tough to ever bring somebody back. It's going to be a while before we have a left-wing candidate for president that the left can actually get behind. Like maybe AOC, even though she's already kind of poisoned that a little bit. But AOC could maybe do it, but she's still too young by like a little bit. She can't even legally run for president until I think 2024 or 2028. And even then, she'd be the youngest person ever elected president, which I guess follows suit because she was she was like one of the youngest people, if not the youngest person elected to Congress. So I'll go with it. Warren pissed off everyone who liked her politically, but weren't in a goddamn personality cult around her. Yeah, the Elizabeth Warren personality cult was a little weird. Let's see. Hey, Brett Sucks. Thank you for following. Welcome to the Orc Gang. And Delve the Dragon. Thank you, thank you. And Pubs. Alright. How do we fight back up against QAnoners? Honestly, like, if you have a solution to that, I have an award for you. Responding to their claims is I guess one way to do it, but the thing is that QAnon is very much like part of the Gish Gallop of stuff, where they just overwhelm people with bad arguments. It's sort of what how Ben Shapiro works. If you just say so many things that it's impossible to respond to them all in the allotted time that you have, or in any realistic time frame, then like somebody can say something. I think somebody pointed out you can say something in like 15 seconds, and someone's got to take half an hour to explain why it's wrong. And that happens all the time. And I mean, it's definitely worth trying, but like, goddamn, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is deplatforming. That's really the only way to. That's the only really successful way to fight this kind of shit. Which sucks. Will history for food the reason I have doubts on studying social science? That's a prop from one of my videos. You guys probably remember. Biden is a rapist. Yeah, Tara Reid. Wonderful stuff. How do we fight against conspiracy and QAnoners? Yeah, just I think I already answered that one, but it's a bad prop for Twitter libs. I have no problem calling it what it is. Okay. If you just ignore healthcare, is Biden more left than Boris? The other thing people said when I asked for a right-leaning subreddit, if you just ignore this one major issue, Biden is more progressive. I mean, I don't like, why would you separate these things? Like, healthcare is probably the number one issue, especially in this day and age, especially in this COVID time. I don't know. I think that's a problem. What I found was shocking how many more liberal news outlets did a lot of the same shit they were criticized Fox for when the allegations were directed at conservatives, but didn't give a fuck when the allegations were against Biden. Yeah. And like, it's not like, even if Biden wins the election, it's not like he's going to unrape somebody. So like, what's going to happen if, Biden gets elected and Tara Reid was still sexually assaulted by Joe Biden, and now he has to be president for 4 years? Like, some makes you think that that Joe Biden is going to get elected with one of the lowest approval ratings, and so, like, it's just going to be, no one's going to be happy with Joe Biden, and will probably, because they didn't push through anything that was actually popular, they're probably going to end up with they're probably going to end up with a Republican victory in 2024, and probably somebody who's way worse than Trump. QAnon is based on fear, and the other carrot on a stick, there'd be an antidote for that. I mean, improving material conditions for people would definitely help fewer people to be so desperate and to be so distrustful of authority that they end up approving it, or end up, going down the QAnon pathway. Mike Pence is 100% running in 2024. I don't know. I think that Tom Cotton is 100% running in 2024. It seems that they're getting ready to push after Trump is done. But is the alternative to let Trump win? I don't think that's as good an answer either, but like, shit. Doing something about it would have been during the primaries to not have people support a rapist. That's the answer. Did Biden or his campaign say anything about Floyd and the protests? I actually haven't followed. It's Joe Biden's campaign. I care so little about Joe Biden that I haven't actually been following the election all that closely anymore. He has said, he did write that article saying that he wants to give the police extra money, and then he's probably going to make Kamala Harris his vice presidential candidate, which means that, like, he's going to have a cop as his VP candidate. So I hope that says enough. Anyone know where we are on the vaccine? I think there are multiple things that are in testing, but the thing is, to test a vaccine that is going to be used by everybody on Earth, there's going to be a lot of testing required to make sure that it's 100% safe. And so I think that, like, the earliest vaccine that we're probably going to be able to get is going to be in September of 2021. That's the main thing. What's a non-dismissive way to make that argument? The reason one of these guys is my favorite lib is because he went out of his way to say, I believe we're all obligated to not let Trump get a second term. But if you're a victim and you just can't vote for it, we should be understanding. Yeah. Just know that, like, you know, if Joe Biden committed rape, you know, which is looking fairly likely, you know, there has to be a day after he's elected president, you know? And all the people who are willing to sacrifice, just push such an awful candidate to get Trump elected president. Like, I think that, like, we're going to learn the lesson where it's like, yeah, you push this awful person to be elected president. And you know what? Now in 2024, like, the Republicans are going to win with somebody even worse because the Democrats just could not bring themselves to vote for a candidate that would actually help people because it would lower the bottom line of mega corporations. Didn't Trump buy literally all of the new COVID medicine? Isn't it a thing we're talking about? I saw the news last week. Yeah, there is a company called Gilead has apparently made a drug that it doesn't cure. It just makes it helps with symptoms. It raises survival rates. It helps quite a bit ease your way through your infection. And Trump bought like 90% of its stock or something like that. So it's going to be like almost impossible for any other country to get a hold of it. I have another novel idea in regards to capitalism. How about we not? Good answer. Thoughts on Chomsky signing the letter again of censorship along J.K. Rowling and others? I already talked about that a little bit. They don't like you, but stayed in your Discord. Well, the Discord's been around now for a couple years at least, so it's kind of running on its own steam. So it's sort of like beside the fact, I guess. You know, it exists as its own community. It doesn't necessarily, not necessarily, am I the focus on it anymore, I guess is what I should say. Gotta go watch later. See you later, Microsoft Word technical support. From like, you know, half an hour ago. People in general seem to have short attention spans. Remember how quick Canadians forgot about Trudeau's blackface? Oh yeah. Yeah, they were willing to get over that so fast. What policies will be implemented to make America great again? America's never been great is the big thing. If I could make like one thing happen in America to make it way better off, it would probably be to get rid of the Electoral College. The easiest way to do that right now would be for enough states to join the Interstate Compact that sort of short circuits the Electoral College. What it is that states send electors to a convention to actually vote for president, and if enough of the states in the the Electoral College say that they're going to vote for whoever got the popular vote, then the presidency would be effectively chosen by popular vote. And if that happened, I feel like that would change quite a bit. That would be a good thing. Another thing I think that would be really great to happen is that is public health care. America needs public health care so bad. So bad. Tristan, what do you think of Trump using emergency powers to win even if Biden does? I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, and I think that that's an overreach that most people would be like saying, okay, that's too far. We need to take you out of office. Like, I'm not actually convinced that Trump is going to pull such like a ridiculous end. I don't know. This election's going to be a real mess for a bunch of different reasons. Hey, what was that? Hey, Labor Kyle, thank you for hosting my stream. Much appreciated. Tristan, do you like The Clash? I don't think I can't think of a song by The Clash. I'm sure there are some that I like, and I'm sure they're great. So people who participated in Rwanda and they were convicted to life for forced labor. If Biden gets elected, expect liberals and a large portion of normies to demand respect for the police authority. Oh, yeah. If the protests continue and Biden is president, you're going to see so many liberals stop supporting, like, police defunding and police reform and everything. They captured some people. Okay, yeah, I already answered that. I already looked at that. I love how the liberals were defending Trudeau by saying, but the conservatives, though, or even trying to imply people were too sensitive, and how they are mad the head of the NDP said systemic racism is a thing. Yeah, the liberals were, like, 2019 was such a disappointing election because the NDP, like, first of all, Justin Trudeau is blackface, and everyone just ignores it because the thing about Canada is that we have three major political parties, and there's the NDP are the only left-wing party in the entire country, and but so many people who have, like, left-wing political leanings vote for the center-right-wing Liberal Party because like everyone's been so beaten down into thinking that only liberals and conservatives can win elections that they just don't think that it can happen. And so they never vote. And this is why, like, the NDP always, whenever the NDP does win or come close to winning, it's always because in the last, like, week, people realize that the NDP could actually win, and, like, tons of liberal voters move over to the NDP. I don't know how to get over that, like, learned helplessness. The other thing that was disappointing about the 2019 election was that so much of Quebec decided to stop voting for the NDP because they were just angry that the leader of the NDP was brown. And that was really disappointing. All right. Okay. Does the West have secret police through police forces? The West has the CIA and stuff like that, I guess. That was some evil. Oh boy. My issue with not opening schools is that I'm worried neoliberal governments won't replace them with anything because they ultimately don't care about maintaining universal programs if it takes any effort. I think if making sure every child's right to an education being met becomes even slightly hard, they just won't bother. Agree or disagree? I don't know. I do think that, like, preventing people from dying is slightly more important, is what I have to say. So that's, like, one of the major reasons. Why would you trust ThoughtSlime when he confessed to ruining your D&D campaigns for fun? I mean, it's a goof. He's actually a great and generous player who doesn't he does a lot of fun stuff, but he's very generous and he helps out people and he listens a lot. He's actually really great. Is it just an impression that Canadian bread tubers know each other? The thing is that a lot of them live in Toronto. Like a whole bunch of them live in Toronto, and we've had meetups and stuff like that. And so I've met a whole bunch of them, like Mexi and ThoughtSlime and myself and Black Goat 666 and Jose, all lived anyway, I guess I should say now, in the Toronto area. And so I've just had to kind of live with that as part of my life, you know? Does you know Black Goat 6662? Yeah, he actually looked at my my last script and helped me build that. I'm not sure what site which one people stream from, two of them. Whichever one you like more, I guess, is the answer. Since we are just chilling for now, as a historian looking to back into a master's, do you have any tips and advice? Yeah, have fun with it. And get, like, what's it called? Obviously, you're going to be reading a lot. Get used to learning how to absorb the main arguments of a book without having to read every single page. That's like the number one skill that you really need to learn to be a successful grad student in history, because you're going to end up having to read like 2 to 4 books a week and have intelligent things to say about them. And the only way you're really going to be able to do that is to follow it closely, or is to figure out how to not read every single page, but get the arguments and everything working. Suppose Warren did win 2024. Are you optimistic about the prospect of the left trying to bullying her into left-wing stuff? No, I actually think that she seems like someone who would back off, who would fold pretty quickly, sadly. Thoughts on Tommy Douglas and the CCF? I don't know that much about the history of that period, but I know that Tommy Douglas he's got some good stuff about him. He's like many like progressives of the early 20th century. Has some left-wing opinions, has some opinions that we would be pretty yikes by today's standards. Like, he was big into eugenics, which is like, not great. But, it is what it is. He is what he is, a complex historical figure. Same with the CCF. But I don't have that much more to say on it, because I don't really... Sadly, as someone whose mom is from Saskatchewan, I don't actually have, like, that much of a great understanding of, the history of the prairies type stuff. Isn't it ironic that anarchists tend to think that flags are bad, yet there's a really popular anarchist flag? In a way, but also if you know the history of the flag, it actually sort of is like, the flag, is exactly, the flag is supposed to represent like the lack of a flag. I prefer Twitch because the higher character, most of the stuff has been answers from me. Is this your new house? Yes, it is. Okay. Maybe Starry Plow, since I've been on an Irish history kick lately. Okay. Hadn't heard of Black Goat. Guess what I'm watching next. Yeah. The thing about Black Goat 666 is that he went to high school with Michaela Peterson, who is Jordan Peterson's daughter. And so anytime I talk to him, we kind of go into, because he's also a stand-up comic too, but we talk a bit about what it was like to go to high school with the red meat lady. Okay. Can't you just walk with the mask on when you about to get in the store, put the mask on? It depends on how busy the street is, I guess. But also, I don't really want to walk in 34-degree heat. It's kind of like, we're in the middle of a heat wave right now. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of like, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to. It's so hot. Anarchists reject nation states. The English version of the world is justified by having a flag. Yeah. So the foam basically traps and suffocates the waves by getting the waves to continuously bounce into the foam instead of going elsewhere. Yeah, essentially, it converts the energy of your voice into heat. Tiny amounts of heat. But it does mean that if you have a lot of foam up, you have to have some pretty heavy-duty air conditioning in a room. Like, if you're in, like, a professional studio, you have to have, like, it's, like, really cold in those places because they have heavy-duty air conditioning running, like, all year long because the rooms with the foam in them become very hot because it not only is it, like, a room full of foam, but also there's, like, machines and stuff like that running all the time. So if I were to completely fill this room with foam, it would be very hot in here, but I'm not going to do that probably. I don't know how much I'm going to need. I might just need to do like this wall or a section here. We'll see what happens. Tristan, do you have anything published that we should read? I do not, sadly, not yet. I wish I had something. I'm sad, Tristan. What should I do? If you have a pet, hug the pet. Phoebe is just over on the table over there, so I would go and pet her. Honestly, like when I need a mood, when I'm like stuck in a bad mood, typically a change of setting for me helps a lot. Like if I'm in a really, really bad mood, like if I'm angry, I tend to try and be like, all right, just give myself 15 minutes to do something else, and normally I'll come down. But like if I'm like sad or if I'm some sort of like depressive cycle or something like that, going for a walk or just going to another place or doing something different, I find helps a lot. You have friends who would wear jackets in 34 degrees? The fuck? What, like, where are you from? Like Mercury? Australia. Oh, of course it'd be Australia, where it's like 50 degrees. Oof. 34 degrees, I'm like, I'm not even going outside. Fuck that. Regarding Chomsky, have you heard did you hear about the internationally joined? No, I haven't. Hasn't Chomsky been like full-on platforming and free speech for absolutely everyone, including overt fascist literature for a while, like the whole Farusian situation? I think he was like back in the day when fascists. I don't know if Chomsky's like fully aware about how like high-profile fascists have become like as of late. And so that's my take there. But I've already talked about free speech and stuff like that. Why shouldn't they be allowed and shut down? I mean, yeah. We've had that conversation. I don't want to be ageist, but is it responsible to expect a guy like Chomsky's age to be full on top of current politics? Well, maybe not, but also Chomsky usually is the main thing. He usually like pretty like the guy still writes like a one book like every year or two, and still writes like tons of articles. So like he's like a he's usually been quite on top of things is the thing. Where's the Twitch link? I'll put the Twitch link in YouTube if you are so inclined. Okay. Whoa, I gotta get up to the top again. Okay. Okay. Let's see. All right, here we are. This is where I was. Okay. Yeah, there you go. I believe in a free speech. Yeah, okay, yeah. Believing in free speech on campus. The one thing I saw on Twitter that I think is a pretty good take about it is like how many people who signed this thing that was for free speech on campus. How many people who signed it have like explicitly said that universities should ban BDS clubs and BDS movements, as an example? How do you feel about the U.S. Government is about to ban a number of social media apps, including TikTok? The U.S. is going to ban TikTok? Man, TikTok's about to get so much better. I don't like it. I don't like that at all. CJE Reed, thank you for following. Much appreciated. How has AOC burned a bridge to the left? If I missed something, she went. The two things that come to mind for me is she went a little soft on the whole Juan Guaido thing, and on top of that, she also sort of sold out Ilhan Omar over the Benjamins situation. Those are the big things that come to mind. And she's also been like, playing a little bit more with the Democratic Party establishment. That makes me a little uncomfortable. Tristan, are there real left parties in Canada? How strong is the Communist Party? It's very weak. It's virtually non-existent. It's a Marxist-Leninist party that gets no votes. The closest we get is like a is the NDP, which is like a social democratic party, but has a socialist caucus in it. AOC has said some very liberal things support the current situation as she needs to be a Democrat. Yeah. She's working with the establishment Democrats to oppose Trump, which is bad because no true leftist would ever do that, /as, yeah. There are two commie parties, the Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada and the Communist Party of Canada. The later one of many pro-Soviet parties that started in the 20s and 30s. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is the big thing, is that like we really need the U.S. to go socialist before everyone else does, because anytime there's been tons of successful socialist movements, but every time it happens, the CIA shuts it down. So you really need to get a socialist in charge of the CIA before you can even think of having the rest of the world do socialist stuff. Who is that Swedish person from the previous live stream? That was Mia Mulder, and she is great. She is a she has a YouTube channel also called that's called Mia Mulder, and she is Potato Politics on Twitter, and be a good watch. So there's a split over support for Stalin, and the dissenters went to form the CPC. Both are really small, and they only have a couple of candidates. Yeah. As a person from the UK, Boris is quite liberal as a person, kind of like Biden. I really loved your video in Catalonia. It helped me push me to the left. Well, that's awesome, Nihilist Goddess Lucy. Thank you. I'm glad that it helped you. I'm glad that something... I'm always blown away when I find out that something that I made like helped push somebody and like make a big decision in their life. Like, I'm always like blown away by that. It's like, really? That's a thing? Holy moly. I did not know I had that much impact. George Bingham, what do you think of Tucker Carlson possibly running for president? Terrifying. He's actually a very powerful individual. And what's it called? I would hate to see him run for president because like Glenn Greenwald would support him and all sorts of stuff that would really terrify me. With Bernie out of the potential for being a presidential candidate in the future, I am not happy about what the future of American presidential elections are going to look like in the next few years. I feel like I'm going to be really disappointed by them. I've already seen liberals going, we have to choose the least rapist in November. And some liberals have said all presidential candidates have had sexual assault allegations behind them or against them. Oh dear. Let's see. That QAnon thing was a whole chapter in the alt-right playbook. They say something short, quippy, and wrong. You respond with a lengthy explanation of why it's wrong. And they say something else short, quippy, and wrong, and only tangentially related to the previous point. Yeah, exactly. That's like the central problem that we're dealing with. The other day, the Law podcast that I am the permanent replier to talked about the Breonna Taylor shooting. They pointed out that given how bad the laws are surrounding no-knock warrants are written, they might have technically not broken the law. How do you go about getting justice in a situation when someone does something terrible, but existent shitty laws technically say that what they did was legal? Try to change the law, or try to get them on something else. You know, any small crime they can do, just get them to do it. I don't know. It's shitty. I hate it. If anything, it's a sign that we need to get rid of qualified immunity for sure, and that the law needs to be changed. Any thoughts on what should have been done about the Tom Cotton New York Times op-ed? I mean, I think that Barry Weiss should probably... Or was it Barry Weiss? I'm trying to remember who was responsible for getting that onto the New York Times. And everybody hated her in the New York Times Slack. But yeah. Ugh. I mean, it's not dissimilar from a lot of the shitty New York Times op-eds that have been done over the years. Don't be so distrustful of the government, Tristan Anarchist 2020. Oh, yeah. My grandfather was a member of the CPC, and my dad's memories of overhearing my grandparents and their friends talking about politics in the 60s. That's kind of fun. Liberals have dropped hashtag Me Too when it was inconvenient for them. Yeah, that's the big problem. Didn't know the Indian community was so big in Canada. Yeah, there are a lot of Indians in Canada. There was this, like, what's it called? It makes the news here when, like, big Bollywood actors die and stuff. There was a Bollywood actor who came and visited Canada, and he had a huge crowd come out for him. So September probably won't work for it. Jeez, that sucks. Do you think Bernie lost just because of rigging, or in his own right, and the rigging was made it more difficult? I think that, like, a full dissection of why Bernie lost the primaries, it's complicated, and I do think that so there's a bunch of stuff. Like, I think that it was many factors altogether that Bernie didn't figure out. So, first of all, Bernie had a plan that was about getting lots of new people out and registered, which, like, getting people who have never voted before to come out and vote in a primary is a tough sell. It was a gamble that did not pay off as well as it should have. It paid off a little bit, but not as much as it should have. Then there was the fact that there was a hostile media against him. I think that Bernie should have used that more. Bernie was so focused on being nice and liked that because, he's at the end a sweet old grandpa. But really, he needed to be making media moments. He needed the media to have to focus on him, even if they were trying to be against him, and have to force him to listen to his ideas, because he was so not big and not making media moments that they just could talk about him without actually showing the things that he was doing. This is sort of how, even though all the media was, like, against Trump, it's still how Trump won anyway. That needed to be done. Then there was the fact that the system was, there was some pretty big, rigging is a lot to say. Rigging is a big, like rigging it is a harsh accusation, but there was definitely a big thumb put on the scale, especially when it came to, like, a bunch of people dropping out and endorsing Biden after South Carolina. That was shitty. Elizabeth Warren staying in the race. That was shitty. All those things. And I'm not sure how Bernie could have handled that, but I think that he had some, like, accountability measures that were put in place. But, I don't know. There was a lot more to overcome than we thought. And it was unfair. But I don't think it was because he had bad ideas. Because his ideas were good. His policies were good. They were the best set of policies of anybody who was running. Just that he should have known that he had knives out for him, and he needed to be more scrappy, I think. A lot of people vote because they see somebody, showing a performance of confidence and strength, and he wasn't doing it. Do you think any other Republican would have handled the pandemic better? Like, how do you think we would have? How do you think we'd be faring in the timeline with Jeb or Ted one? I think that Jeb might have been able to do it better. Like, I think that I think there wouldn't be as many people spreading conspiracy theories that masks make you pass out, or that we need to, like, kill grandma to get the economy going again. Like, I feel like any, like, competent president would have handled those aspects better. Trump really dropped the ball on a lot of those things. And yeah, the Joe Rogan thing was probably a mistake, yeah. It's 2 a.m. and I'm making tzatziki. What a life. Good stuff. Let's see. Oh God, I'm so sorry about your mom, Delve. That sucks. Yeah, we need dental care so bad. It's awful. What's going on? We don't even have public dental care here in Canada. Steve Shives even said, when folks say abolish the police, they mean defund the police. Instead, they don't mean abolish the police. 3 of us are like, no, we mean abolish the police. Yeah, Steve Shives, he's not, nice guy, but yeah, bit soft on the politics. Yeah, abolish the police. He said that question about D&D about an hour ago. Sorry. What's it called? I'm only 20 minutes behind now, so obviously I've been doing better. Quebecois nationalism is such a brain poison. Dude called me a left-wing monarchist because I told him that French Canadian were also settlers. Oh yeah, they do that. I know you live in Toronto. Would you consider doing a crossover with a non-bread tube creator since Strange Aeons lives there too? I actually don't live in Toronto anymore as of Friday, and I don't even know who Strange Aeons is. I don't know what my I have to figure out. I want to do more crossovers, but they're tough to coordinate is the problem, and you never know who's going to, put doing a voice in the same video as somebody who, I don't know. After the Buck Angel thing, like a lot of people are afraid of lending their voice to videos anymore because they might just like unknowingly end up in the wrong thing, or end up being told by the internet that they endorse a terrible person, and end up having waves of hate and death threats thrown at them for merely appearing in a video. So yeah, the collaboration spirit has dried up quite a bit ever since. Because yeah, I've gotten some shit for that too. He won't lose faith or reform. Poor Steve Shives. Okay. Just reading the chats. I'm looking for questions. So, have you ever read stuff by Michael Huemer? No, I haven't. All right. I still don't think that it would be sane for Australians to wear a jacket in 34 degrees. Like 34 degrees is hotter than it is when I normally go to the what's it called? Normally go to the Yucatan. It's only 30 degrees. I was aware of India name dropping socials when it comes to just find shocking, giving Franco and all. Yeah. See these, dab on them. It's equivalent of petting them once you follow a step back. Yeah. How do I escape a wave slave job I hate? I wish I could do something more with my life. I feel like I'm not doing anything good. I wish I had an answer for you, bud. The only reason I'm able to do what I'm doing is because I got insanely lucky. 34 degrees in northern Ontario is also 50% humidity or worse. Yeah. It's 2020 and fascism is in. Ugh, I hate that you're right on that. Do you think left-wingers being inclined towards compassion sometimes makes them too inclined to sacrifice long-term goods to immediate harm reduction. Like, I sometimes think the resistance to accelerationism ultimately comes down to an irrational sense that forcing people you can see to suffer is better than letting future people you can't see to suffer. I mean, that's a very callous way to look at it. My opinion is that you can't, like, I think that to assume that it's a difference between, like, doing something that you know is going to cause harm and lead to the suffering and death of people right now. Are you willing to do that, or the possibility that making things worse will lead to accelerationism? Like, I don't think that accelerationism is a guarantee. Things have been getting worse since the 70s, and we still have yet to see, like, the revolution. And selling people out who are not you, which I'm like, where do you even have the right to sell people out like that? But also on the possibility that if people just get screwed over a little bit more, then we'll have the big rise up in the capital R revolution everyone's hoping for. I don't see that as determined as people seem to be willing to sell out other people's lives for. All right. If you're a political commentator, you should expect to remain informed. Yeah. Tristan, what are your thoughts on Chaz and Chop? I liked it. I thought it was a good idea. I was one of the people, I think many people were, I don't think anyone was under the delusion that this was going to be like the Paris Commune. I've said many times that I think that having that exercise in expressing autonomous organization is useful. I hope that it becomes more of a thing in the future, because you never know when you're going to need, like, a Tahrir Square situation, or what's the square in Ukraine that had one like that. You never know when you're going to need to do something like that, and also it gives us moments to sort of figure out what it is to organize a society in, modern day. That being said, Americans have very short attention spans, or people have very short attention spans, so by the time it was shut down, it had already, like, been well past its peak, which is sad. People can't really stick to things anymore, which is sad. Oh boy, here's a toughie coming. What do you think of postmodernism / linguistic term like white and la cabra? Is it the abandonment of reason, as the Marxists say? No, I actually think Hayden. If you're speaking about Hayden White, I think that there's a lot to be said about studying, like, historical writing as literature. I think that makes sense. You still look thirsty, Tristan. I know, my water bottle, it's empty. Got a little bit left. There we go. I might have to take a break, actually, to go refill. Maybe I will, but the chat is... once I get caught up with the chat, which I'm only a little bit behind. But I actually do think that the postmodern linguistic turn is actually pretty useful for studying, because the thing is, the differentiating between the raw past and what's called history, because history really is human beings applying their understanding to the past. And I talked about this yesterday, that there's always going to be this tension between the human need to organize and compartmentalize and the sort of raw ontology of the world. That it really, like, defies categorization, that defies classification. And I think that that's not cool. Or I think that, not that it's not cool. I think that if you're to understand the past, like, the thing is, like, past, capital P, past, is not a thing that we can really experience, without a time machine. And so seeing written history as like a form of literature is an important aspect, and we can learn a lot about historians and writers of previous periods by studying them as works of literature. So please don't dehydrate. Don't worry, I'm gonna I'm probably gonna take like a quick washroom break in a few minutes. I just want to get caught up with the chat first. Is Bloc Québécois left wing? Bloc Québécois is nationalist. Its other policies are kind of secondary. It cares singularly about getting Quebec independence, and doesn't particularly have that much of a care about other issues. Yo, how's the new place? It's pretty good. It's big. I'm like, after living in Toronto for so long, I'm like so used to a tiny apartment that like once Kelly and I like bought like or rented a like an actual 2-bedroom apartment, we're like it's almost like uncomfortable how much space there is, and I'm like, I don't know how to process it, and I always just feel like I'm in some like fancy hotel, and I'm like, when are they gonna kick us out? Because it's like it's too much. It's too much. What do you think about Teen Vogue going radical? I think it's great. Teen Vogue's been great. What a surprise last minute ally though, yeah. Fucking Teen Vogue going out there. What do I think of the Great Emu War? I don't actually know that much about it, except that it's like a kind of a Wikipedia meme, but that's about it. What do I think about left-wing vigilantism? That's some dangerous territory to go into. I always would feel because I'm like, I'm very much a restorative justice type person. I'm a restorative justice prison abolitionist type person. That like left-wing vigilantism seems like not my style. Is that a bunch of D&D books behind you? Yes, it is. It's my collection of D&D books. Should be getting another one in a few weeks when the what's it called? The new D&D book that's like Greek mythology stuff comes out. I'm pretty excited for that. Keep protesting until the law is changed and to get justice for Breonna Taylor. I agree. I am glad that I'm glad and a little surprised that the energy of the Black Lives Matter protests that have been going on for the last month just keep going. Even when the media is not paying attention to it, it's still happening. It makes me happy. Thanks to Tristan, I became a socialist and volunteered with the NDP last year. That's awesome, Matt. I'm really proud of you for doing that. Volunteering is like more praxis than just voting. A lot of people seem to think that like voting is the only thing they need to do, but actually getting out there and doing shit, that's like that's the big thing. Bollywood is surpassing Hollywood and simping for Israel. Oh dear. Which party do you think would win if the UK had an election tomorrow? I don't know. I don't really follow British politics that closely, so I don't actually know like what the horse races are saying right now. My guess is that the Conservatives would probably still win. I think Bernie Sanders cross-endorsing Joe Rogan was a mistake. Yeah, the Joe Rogan thing was definitely a mistake. That was not... I don't think that they thoroughly vetted Joe Rogan and, like, what he has a history of saying. For sure. And they could have easily just let Joe Rogan endorse Bernie Sanders and not draw attention to it. Will you ever do a video on the penal population and the 3 strikes laws? Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't know what my story would be about, but that's a thing. But I am doing some stuff on police stuff in the next few months, so hang tight. How do you deal with criminal investigations if we abolish the police? Depends upon what, like, first of all, there's a lot to get into with that, but, like, the first thing I would say is, when have the police done shit about criminal investigations? Most of the time they show up to write down that a crime happened and then not do anything about it. Like, sure, I think that everyone can agree that we probably need some sort of organization that, solves murders and stuff. I think nobody disagrees with that. And like, you know, I don't think that we need like the same organization. Like, I don't think we need people writing tickets for speeding that also are armed psychopaths. I don't know. I feel like I need you to do the dab. All right, yay. I thought I already did one, but there you go. I don't know. Like, I don't think that I think that a lot of the functions of police, Phil, can be done by other organizations that are not police, way better. And on top of that, like, police as they exist today are like this like militarized organization that I think they should just be destroyed and replaced with many different things. And maybe, you know, better social workers and crisis responders and crisis mental health workers would do a whole lot more for addressing crime and addressing the crime that happens in the world than like a few, you know, high school C students with handguns and KKK membership cards. Because like right now, all the police seem to do is show up to situations and make them worse. So I don't see what the big draw is. There's a new socialist YouTube channel called Leaflets that is exploring socialist theory in short videos, less than 10 minutes, usually less than 2 minutes. That's pretty cool. You're concerned for letting your voice to a dumpster flower video? Or, I don't know who that is. Steve Shy is one of the good few atheist channels on YouTube, but yeah, he's a lib. Oh yeah, he's a lib. It's like we're living in a bizarre dream. Yeah. Oh God. I did have my issues with ContraPoints for platforming Buck Angel, but then she doubled down on it. Yeah. What's it called? Buck Angel thing was such a weird situation. I am definitely not a person in a position to talk about it in any sort of rational, objective fashion. When all the neoliberals dropped out and Warren stayed in, a lot of the libs I follow say, well, they're allowed to do that. What are you going to do? Why do libs equate following the rules with justice and fairness? Because that's all they have. I think there's like a really great episode of the alt-right playbook that's very much about like when you don't have policy, you stick to process. And also the same people who are saying like, oh, Elizabeth Warren, like she was going to drop out. Like, what are you going to do? Like, or like, you know, she doesn't owe you anything, you don't need to do anything, are the same people who are like, if you do not vote for Biden, you are directly voting for Trump. Like, I don't know. It's a very double standard, if you know. I thought I found a good skeptic channel on Cosmic Skeptic, but found out his videos debunking BuzzFeed on Islam. It made me very uncomfortable. The comments were pure hatred, things like, yeah, any like, I don't know, atheist and skeptic YouTube channels, you just got to find out what they're saying about Muslims and usually find out that they're bigots, and this is what makes me uncomfortable. What's it called? The Ideologist Knows. Where's the playlist you play on streams and where is it from? There's some really nice beats and songs in there I'd like to add to my playlists. Yeah, I listen to, it's lo-fi hip-hop beats, music, beats to relax / study to on Spotify. I think they have a YouTube channel where they basically stream 24/7 too. Can we see the face swapped Tristan? Sure. I actually did that a while ago and I can definitely show you. Let me just dig it up for you. If you want to see face app Tristan. Yeah. Let me see if I can put this on the screen. There you go. There is FaceApp Gender Swap Tristan. She looks like a blogger or a podcaster. If Contra got Milo or Trump to do a voice, I doubt these people would say that's harmless. Yeah. but like Ollie getting death threats and like, you know, constant harassment for just having a voice in the video when they didn't even know what was going on, that was fucked up. Or telling people to publicly attack like their real life friend in a public setting, also fucked up. This is why like I can't like speak to the Buck Angel thing, because I'm like not objective, because a lot of those people who are involved are like friends of mine and stuff, and it's like the mob mentality and the like the sort of one-upsmanship that resulted in like just the absolute worst abuse I've seen. Not the worst, but some just absolutely terrible abuse happening to people was one, an extreme overreaction. I know that like the video had some like serious issues with it, and like dealing with Buck Angel is like, you know, seriously yikes. Death threats are not exactly the proper response to that, is my guess. And fanning an internet hate mob is not exactly like the best way to get people to change things. And the people who are like actual friends of these people, getting them to publicly denounce their friend on a public platform instead of like having conversations, you know, person to person, is not the way to do that. Not the way to handle that situation. But I'm not going to reopen this discourse. The fact that like regular co-host on this show, Mia, or on the Monday show, Mia Mulder, the fact that she received hatred and threats for months, that still comes back every once in a while for a heart emoji and for being mentioned in a ContraPoints video when she didn't even know about it, is like, oh God. I don't know what the fuck was going on there. That's what I have to say. Can we just stop talking about Contra? I'm just so tired of this point. Yeah. I'm in a Left 2 group on Facebook, and we just weeks on end on Contra drama. Yeah. Do you have a favorite historian or history book? I'm a sucker for Howard Zinn and People's History of the United States. I think it's it's a great way to get people into looking at history from a different angle. And also, I'm also a big fan of, I don't know the author of the book, but it's a book called Lies My History Teacher Told Me. I think that's also a really good history book for sort of opening people to that conversation. Hey Zane, thank you for the super chat. I'm sorry I didn't see it. I didn't get like a big alert about it, but thank you so much. After 9/11, did Canada pass its version of the Patriot Act? I love the history. I think we did, but I don't think it was as overreaching and intense as the Patriot Act, and I'm not sure it went as far or anything like that. We did get involved in the war in Afghanistan, but I don't think our counterterrorism laws stayed forever, and I don't think that they were as intense. Most of the stuff that changed in our day-to-day life about the Patriot Act and stuff like that had more to do with us going to America than it did with stuff internally. Okay. Have you watched The Expanse, and what do you think of it? I'm actually watching The Expanse right now. I am, I think, partway through season 3. I like it. I like it a lot. I have some, like, I mean, everything. I have, like, nitpicks about stuff, about how realistic some stuff is. Not, like, sciencey stuff, but, like, some of the aspects, like, some of the stuff that are trying to do some historical allusions that, I think are cool ideas, but I think that some of the ways they did it are not, like, the most accurate in the world. Like, I don't really, like, I don't know, some stuff about the ways that the Belters kind of strike back against the government, or like, things like how the destruction of the Canterbury becomes, like, this, like, huge meme, and, like, everybody starts talking about it. Felt like it was, like, a lot very fast and very convenient to the plot. Which is like makes sense, but I I don't know. I feel like there's got to be there's a little bit more nuance. Like I just have this feeling that like very much there's like all Martians think this way, all Belters think this way, all Earth people think this way, and I think that that complexifies a lot. Like I don't want to spoil too much of the show, but like the most recent episode of The Expanse that I watched last night, and I'll probably be watching the next one after, has to do with like a big schism in Earth government. Like there's a bit there's a big moment that happens on a ship, and I thought that was cool. I think that I think that a lot of it would make more sense to me if they spent more time. There's some things I think that would make more sense if I had read the books, because like understanding the Belter culture and understanding the Martian culture and stuff like that would probably come out more in the books than it does in the show, because the show has to be so fast because you only have like 40 minutes and you have to do the whole thing, while like the book can take as long as you want. And so like my guess is that you're about to get blazed, Tristan. What does that mean? I think that the books, and I plan on reading the books in the future. That I think that I want to do. I think I want to do more of The Expanse. Or I think I want to read the books because I think that there needs to be more world building in the future. To make a lot of the stakes make sense, because like they haven't done like a ton of work to make you care about these different factions and what their cultures are like and how they move forward. They did a little bit of it with like Belters, but that's about it. Sorry to go into so much about it. I want to regain the point in the U.S. when 50 million unemployed, evictions coming, and no end in sight of the pandemic. I wonder if the U.S. will have a complete uprising. Yeah, cool zone is imminent, I do think. If they don't do anything about like the mass eviction crisis that's going to be coming up in the next like this month and next month and stuff like that, I'll be very, very surprised if we don't see like a lot more instability. I'm hopping on more step back videos on Brazil. Yeah, I've already done one. I think there's a second one that I was that mentions Brazil, the Operation Condor video. I gotta think about like I gotta get a good story from Brazil. The problem is that I'm an expert in American history, and so I try to focus on that, and I'm gonna be focused on the United States for probably the next few months. Basically, I'm talking about America until like January, if I keep up with my schedule. Yeah, police didn't really exist until the 1830s and stuff. That is true. My internet derped out and now I need to find my place again. Oh no. Semi-randomly selected citizen guards for a year long term. Thanks for my question I asked about cops. No problem. Police force not even good at the success rates. Oh boy. It's 9 o'clock and I have to hang in the morning. The alt-right playbook is called You Go High, We Go Low. It's a great analysis of what liberals think. Yeah, that's a good one. What if the police had been abolished while my dad was on the force? Would you fire him and take food out of his children's mouths? Yes. What if we just overthrew the Nazi regime? Are you going to take all of those SS officers and fire them? Are you going to take food out of their children's mouths? Oh boy. But yeah, we do like, yeah. Let's see. Oh my god, that's phenomenal. Thank you. I can die now. Hey, you want some cat cam? There you go. See, Phoebe's on my desk or my table over here, just chilling, but my room this office is still such a mess that I really don't want to do anything. But Phoebe is just there sleeping in the corner or sleeping on the table. More seriously, have you thought about the issue of getting DMCA'd as you react to copyright vid on Friday? I don't think so. Like, that's not usually an issue that comes up with these things. Like, I am not... Like, I don't think that's a big issue. I know several friends who are streamers that do this stuff regularly. It's basically like... It's like, people do this stuff all the time, so I'm guessing it's going to be fine. I don't see... I have no reason to be concerned since so many other YouTubers do it. What would the bloc even do if Quebec left? Dissolve or just try to figure out how to keep existing after that? They'd probably just become... they'd probably just become PQ members, I imagine. You were at the 3rd precinct? Holy shit, Ulysses, that's amazing. I think Essence of Thoughts video on Contra thing explains it well. I haven't seen it. Not sure France was. France was supposed to be after the '95 referendum. They were going to be the first country to give international recognition to Quebec after the referendum went through, but it didn't. Did you make a video on Cuba, and what's your opinion on Cuba? It's a complicated... Cuba's a complicated country, obviously. Like, I wrote a video on Cuba, but it wasn't for Step Back. I wrote a video on the Cuban Revolution for the Cold War. I don't know if they've aired it yet. Let me check. Let me just go and take a looky-loo at... the Cold War. Let me see if they've done a Cuba video. Doesn't look like it's come out yet, but I wrote a Cuba video for it. I think that like the Cuban Revolution was like, you know, anti-colonialist. America had basically made Cuba a colony. Cuba kind of got screwed over as being a pawn in the game of the Cold War. And yeah, I'm not like the hugest fan of political prisoners, so it's a mixed bag. But also, Cuba has done goddamn miracles under the conditions that they're under to keep afloat and to keep being successful, to be the successful country that they are. So my opinion on that is just, they're doing their best. And yeah, there's some serious issues that I don't like the way that it's liberalizing now, but also, they did their thing. I think I've answered this. I'm just talking in circles right now. Oh yeah, Kanye West is running for president. Totally forgot. What is further left than anarchism and left communism? I don't know if there is anything. I don't know if you can get more egalitarian than pure egalitarianism. Bad Empanada has a lot of videos on Cuba. He's a good source for information about Latin American politics. Yeah, Bad Empanada knows more about that stuff than I do. I think I still have to rely more on the fact that I'm a U.S. historian, and I gotta be more. Where is the video? I think if you're talking about the same thing, I don't think the Cuba video I've written, I don't think it's come out yet on the Cold War. I don't know. The Cold War, I wouldn't like... Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about my work with Kings and Generals. Couple months ago, so I was like on a big rip with the Cold War. Like I wrote a shit ton of Cold War scripts. I was writing like 5 a month. And I think I wrote like a huge backlog of scripts for the Cold War. Tons of them. Many of them haven't been published yet. And then Ilkin, one of the guys who runs Kings and Generals, asked me to write a video last December on for a potential series on the Islamic Golden Age. And I wrote the first video of it. And around, I think it was like in April, he came to me and he was saying like, hey, we're about to publish the first episode of the Islamic Golden Age series. Can we get the rest of the series? We're going to get the whole series out. Because I pitched them the series about it, and they really liked it. And so I haven't been writing the Cold War for the last few months. I've been working on this Islamic Golden Age series for Kings and Generals, the main channel. And I am currently writing the last episode of the Kings and Generals Islamic Golden Age series. And once that's done, which I think will be on Monday, I think I plan to be finished by Monday, then I'll probably get back into writing Cold War scripts. But yeah, I've written tons of Cold War scripts that are just not published yet, but they will be at some point. But I've written probably about half of the Cold War script. Chicken finished Jack's box now. Oh, I see how it is. Now I gotta get caught up to the chat, and I gotta get some more water. Has Tristan abandoned Twitch? I'm doing both. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's see. The Bell riots are going to happen in 2020 instead of 2024. Yeah, looks like it. Good old D Space Nine reference. How would the left deal with the decreasing power of the worker due to automation? Good question. We need new Luddites maybe to destroy those systems or something. I honestly, the future of workers' rights is going to be complex, and I don't exactly know where it's going to go. Hey, thank you very much, Jameson Pester, for following. Welcome to the Orc Gang. Exactly the Bell riots and their signs. What exactly are the Bell riots and are there signs that America is falling apart? The Bell riots are a fictitious riot. I think that happened in like San Francisco in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Shouldn't react weird to the new house. Phoebe actually handled it okay. Romeo's has a bit of anxiety about it, but Phoebe seems pretty normal. Hey man, I genuinely love your stuff, but please don't compare the police to actual Nazis. That kind of seems reductionist. Not to downplay the shit police does. There's enough fascist assholes as well, but even humorously exaggerated stuff used to make a point is somewhat problematic. Okay, sure. I was just making a point about like worrying about the job. Like it's kind of like the people who are like, oh, Bernie Sanders wants public health care. Did you know that a lot of private healthcare workers who work in billing are women? Bet you didn't think of that, Bernie bro. And it's like, oh God. How are you doing, Tristan? Thank you, Goober. I'm doing great. I moved on Friday, and I am still settling in. And I'm feeling pretty good. I really like this new home I live in. New city. Nice, nice size, everything. I'm living in a place that is about the same price that an apartment in Toronto, a one-bedroom apartment in Toronto would cost, and it's huge. I'm so like just getting out of Toronto has like completely changed the size that I realized apartments could be. The next Cold War, the next Cold going. Oh, okay. How does your script writing process usually go? I'm trying to change this up a little bit, but I typically, if I want to like really hardcore focus on something, my scripts usually take about 3 days for the Cold War, because the Cold War scripts are pretty short. They only want about 1,500 words. So I research on one day, and so it's a really accelerated research schedule. So typically, my main project for trying to do is I get a topic from them. They tell me what to write about. David, who is like the kind of like channel manager, he gives me my assignment, And then I go and I try to find like one or two like definitive sources that sort of summarize the thing I'm supposed to be writing about. And then I read through them, try to take some notes, and then the second day I will furiously write out a 1,500 word script. It's 1,500 words. It takes like, a couple hours. And then the day after that I will go and edit it and get through. But typically that's just for Cold War scripts. For Step Back scripts, I spend an entire week researching, which usually means reading several books, trying to sort of make myself a little bit familiar with the conversation and history that I am getting myself into. I'm working on completely revamping my research process right now, so I don't really have like a great answer for you. But basically, it just involves getting a really big pile of books and reading them, and then writing notes. Then script writing usually involves an extensive outlining process. I then take a week to write the first draft, and my scripts are usually they're getting longer. Probably should work on that. But then the week after that, first thing I do when I finish writing it is I do my self-edit. Then I give it to my wife. My wife takes a look at it. She has pointers because she's sort of the non-historian, so she can talk more about what she thinks works and doesn't work, and clarity of communication and stuff like that. So I do that. Then I spend a week giving it to people, typically like friends who are also YouTubers, who are also writers or something like that, so I can be a little bit more... I try to do stuff like that so that I can get more eyes on it so that people think it's good, see if people think it's good, and if they approve, then or if they give me suggestions, I fix things. I usually then film that weekend, and then I furiously edit over a period of about 3 days to get the video done for Wednesday. But then I realize you only asked about scripts, so I'll have more to say once I do the revamp of my research process. If you do something involving Ireland, give Paul a ring for some help for research. Alrighty. Wouldn't Jordan and the Lobsters be a great name for a band? A little bit. It feels like everyone is like that. I can barely remember the last time Christo Avalos talked about Canadian politics. I fear that we become a three-class system where we have capitalists, workers, and the vast majority of people living on UBI like Earth in the Expanse. We, the majority of people living on basic. Yeah, I do worry about... Basic income does have some serious concerns associated with it, that if we don't address it, we're going to be in a really uncomfortable situation. I think you can compare them all you want. They're supporting a system that obviously got concentration camps. ACAB, yeah. My mom got mad at me for saying ACAB in the video. I thought that was funny. Even David Graeber found a quote from Obama in 2009 where he said, if we have Medicare for all, 4 million people would lose their jobs. Which to David is the smoking gun that capitalism is terrible. Yeah. I definitely get that. I agree with the basic idea of police abolition being bigger than employment situation following that. It's not like the police budget isn't huge enough to feed those affected either way. Yeah. Are you going to upload the whole stream to YouTube at the end? I want to have dinner just when you were answering my question. Mamo, if you go to Twitch, after the stream is over, you go. There's a tab on my channel page of videos, and you can actually see the whole stream. And if you actually are, since you're watching on Twitch, at least you're in the Twitch chat, if you just like drop out of the stream, like if you just exit the window and come back to the video and find the VOD of the stream that I was doing, it'll pick up right where you left off. Would you consider your new location rural or suburb? Are rural towns still more healthy than American trailer parks? The new place I live is a city. It's a smaller city, but still like a reasonably sized city. It's about a 300,000 person size city, and I live downtown, so it's still like high density residential. It's just that it's not Toronto, which is like this artificially inflated bubble of rent, which made things like multiple times more expensive. Yeah. All right. Because of Carl, I can't listen to They Might Be Giants song The Mesopotamians without thinking of that jackass. Yeah. Mercifully, I think I've been thinking about Carl Benjamin less and less lately because he's just not relevant anymore. What are your thoughts on worker-managed economies and potential post-scarcity societies? How can workers effectively manage themselves when they are less and less needed to put labor into the community sustain? Of course, there are areas that will never be automated, but what about those that are almost completely will be? Common ownership of the means of production, I think, is the most important part. We don't actually need, like, if we can automate away a job and the things that do that job are collectively owned, then nobody stands to lose out. I appreciate you, sir. Keep on trucking. Thank you, Jake Anderson. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Much appreciated. You're keeping this truck going, keeping food in the cat bellies. Okay. Let's see. I would love some Canadian doctors here. Oh, hey Tristan. Hey Seaweed Popcorn. Canada has more medical resources and people than Cuba, so we could easily give a ton of people's help to needed doctors. Yeah, I would love that. Yo, what's the outsider perspective on a third precinct? I haven't heard much from people outside Minneapolis. Only thing I know is that, like, first of all, burning down the police station, fucking metal as shit. And then the next month or so, I haven't really heard much at all, except that there's like kind of like organization about what to do next, and that the people who said that they're going to defund the police, I have heard, are kind of like, they're kind of usurping an idea that's been floating around and taking credit for it in a very liberal way. But that's about it. All right, I'm caught up with the chat now, so I'm going to run to the washroom real quick, and then maybe when I come back, we'll play some Jackbox. We'll see how the delay goes, because I don't know if last time when I used to stream on YouTube, there was a big delay with Restream.io that might have caused problems, but hopefully that won't be a factor this time, so we'll see what happens. Grand experiment. Hey everybody, I am back. Let me just so many things. All right, let's just make sure I didn't miss any good questions. what's your thoughts on oral history? My idea of research involves life histories. Tough to do, but if you can do it, it's very valuable because, we need not white man centric history, and fairly often you need to do harder work on that. Okay, let's do some Jackbox, shall we? So for everybody who doesn't know, which is probably like everybody who's watching on YouTube who hasn't watched my stuff before, I finish off my night by playing Jackbox games, which are fun games that can be played with you guys, like on your phone and stuff like that, or on your browser. So we're going to fire that up and hang out in that for the rest of the evening. It's a good time, and it lets me give a chance to rest my voice a little bit. So, but it's like the thing we usually do to like round out the last hour or so of the stream. I guess this time the last half hour. The chat's getting so busy because there's so many people watching now that it's like hard to get a hard stop, So let's get Jackbox open. Let's turn off the music. And, Tell me if it's too loud, by the way. All right. Got to balance out everything, Damn. All right. So let's do this. So I guess we'll start with Quiplash because that's everyone's favorite. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to jackbox.tv and put in the 4-letter code, and it'll explain the rest. So you need 8 players. So you just go to jackbox.tv and you put in the 4-letter code. You don't need an app. You just have to go to a web page, jackbox.tv, and you can also put it on your phone. And also, we have 8 players, but you can still join in. You just won't be able to do prompts, but you'll be able to write, or you'll be able to vote. All right, let's do this.
Welcome. I'm your host, Schmitty, and this is Quiplash. It's not too often I see a group like this, thankfully. Remember, anyone who's not quipping can still affect the game by joining the audience.
Sorry, Ulysses, you can join the next game.
This is
We'll
round 1.
maybe
You are
one,
about to see 2 prompts on your device. Type something hilarious or not
We'll see
for
what the
each
time
one.
is like.
Then everyone gets to decide if your answer is better than someone else's. Democracy at work. You'll score points based on the percentage of people who prefer your answer. Have at it.
Hopefully you guys can hear me okay over the sound.
Folks in the audience can try the audience play along while we wait for our players to finish. almost out of time. Use the safety quip.
There we go. All right.
Let's see those quips. First one, a good replacement for SeaWorld's whale shows would be blank. Okay, voting time. Pick your favorite.
Minecraft dolphins or X-Cop sharks? Let's see where this goes. We got a lot of new YouTube people in here, so see if the diversified viewer base results in some new comedy, you know? Damn, that one was...
Okay, next one. After high school, kids get the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. After college, they should get, Oh, the Places You'll blank.
Be
Get
oppressed
to
by
voting.
Oh, the place would be oppressed by capitalism. We're getting rid of it. Is the delay really bad or no? How is it, everybody? Seems like Restream has gotten a lot better in the years since I used it.
Next one, a good taunt to yell at the zoo elephants. Ready, set, vote.
Way faster than before for me. Oh, that's fine.
Your next prompt is the rejected name of Lake Titicaca. Vote on your devices.
Rural AF or lake urinary infection.
Next on deck, the way to really embarrass yourself on Jeopardy. Vote away.
No viewers because it's so rated. Stay in the 70s until jackpot night. You only have about 50 or 60 on both sides most of the time. Yeah. I mean, that happens. I was talking more
Up
about
next,
like
the
stream
worst
delay
excuse
because
for ditching your
last
date.
year when I did this, there was a stream delay,
Okay, vote.
and that kind of screwed over. That made Jackbox hard to do. The worst excuse for ditching a date: Roblox or protecting the time I was gay. Oh boy. Yeah.
Next in the hopper, why you shouldn't party with Vikings. Time to vote. Next in line, the worst question to be asked at a lifeguard job
Oh
interview.
boy.
Put in your votes.
I'm Remember that black metal singer that just burned a church? I do remember that. I remember hearing about that guy. Wasn't he a Nazi too?
Round 1 is behind us. Let's see how you scored.
Yeah, I don't know why nobody in that made a Joe Biden joke. Losing my touch.
It's round 2 time, and everything's worth double. Don't let those points go to waste.
Alright, I gotta think of funny things again.
While the players enter their quips, audience members can try the audience play-along on their devices.
Friends. Looks like we're going to be having no reprieve from the heat tomorrow either.
Hurry up! Use a safety quip if you can't.
Yeah. Gandhi at the last second.
Okay, I hope you all made me proud. First off, the worst bachelor party would involve blank. Okay, choose your favorite.
Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Oh god. Uncomfortable gender norms? Alrighty.
Moving on. This just in a stunning move, Bill Nye the Science Guy has given up his signature bow tie and instead will now wear blank. And vote.
The 2 senders, yeah. Only 2 senders. I'm sender critical.
Next up, Dennis the Menace grew up and got the new nickname Dennis the Blank. Vote now.
Dennis the moderate centrist, also a menace. And Dennis the tennis. Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Stupid, sexy Bill Nye. Moderate centrist.
And next, the real reason the
Is this a
giant at the
left-wing
top
game?
of the beanstalk was trying to kill
played,
Jack.
It's whatever wing the people who play it are.
It's voting time.
Which, you know, is what it is. Giant beanstalk was trying to kill Jack. I mean, capitalism makes people do weird things. The giant is a bro and Jack was a Kyle. Alright. My day has been made. Well, if it's that easy, then I'm glad I could do it.
And next is a good sign there's an invisible man living in your apartment. Ready, set, vote.
Okay.
Next on the list, an unusual reason to duel somebody.
Oh boy.
And
He enjoys Thomas Jefferson or being a president. Oh boy. Let's see. Let's see where this goes. Ah, yes. Alright, so some people get the historical reference. That's good.
next
that
prompt. A new baseball tradition you would like to see would be the 7th inning blank. Vote on your devices.
Why do they always send the poor? Why do they always send the poor? Why do they always send the poor? Yeah, you can definitely make me laugh with just quoting The Simpsons. That will always work. Yeah, it's just
Moving on, the nickname Van Gogh gave his remaining ear.
Oh my.
Put in your votes.
Was that an Aaron Burr reference? Yes, it was. Because, yeah. Aaron Burr challenged Alexander Hamilton to a duel because he endorsed Thomas Jefferson for the, what's it called? Democratic Republican
Round 2 is
ticket.
over. Let's see who came out on top.
I know way too many Simpsons lines. Yeah, me too. I am kind of... It's kind of embarrassing how, how much I know about The Simpsons.
That's right, it's round 3, the last lash. Look alive,
At
because
least
you're
the good-
all
the
getting
good
the
seasons.
same prompt this time.
I couldn't tell you what happened in season 22 or whatever.
Make up the full name for this acronym.
Loud Kawatis. No!
Everybody's
Kawatis are
in.
adorable.
Okay, in round 3, you get to award 3 medals, gold, silver, and bronze. Have at it.
Wasn't sure if anyone would even know what a Kawati is. Yeah, when I was in Mexico, there were so many of them.
All right, let's see where those
Okay.
medals went. Bronze, silver, and gold. Let's translate that into points. Okay, let's see those final scores.
Okay, let's see. Damn, Brad Pitt. Didn't Brad Pitt win last time too? Or like last week? You're on top of this shit. Alright. Let's do some TKO now. the objectively best game. Yeah. So this is a fun one where you get to draw T-shirts. Do you own a Switch? I do own a Switch. I don't play it very much, but I do have it. I haven't touched it in a while. I have. It's mostly my wife's. I play, like... There's a little bit of Animal Crossing. I have Diablo 3, but I don't really play it on the Switch that much. And there's Skyrim, but that's mostly my wife. And Super Mario Odyssey, which I played like half of, and I haven't finished yet. And the Zelda game, what's it called? Whatever the Zelda game was, I played that, and I got stuck at a certain part and I stopped playing, and I haven't picked it up again, but I should soon.
3, 2, 1.
This monkey has a good internet connection.
Welcome to TKO. I am the tournament master, and my word is law.
Breath of the Wild, that's
I'm
it,
actually
yeah.
very approachable. I brought you all here to T-Shirt Island to have the wildest spring
I have to
break
go
of
get
our
one of those
lives.
capture cards.
Oh wait,
if I
no,
wanted
that's
to
the
play
next
Switch
week.
on,
You guys are here for the T-shirt
on
thing.
the stream.
Welcome to the training grounds. You will use your device to draw 3 drawings. Draw whatever your heart desires, like literally anything, it doesn't matter. But if you need an idea, hit the suggestion button. Begin your first drawing now. While the chosen few prepare for battle, tournament spectators can get in on the fun by joining the audience, submit suggestions, and vote for the best shirts.
Now I gotta draw.
That timer's not for
Wish I could play
decoration.
more. All my
Finish
friends hate it because
quickly.
they can't draw. Not being able to draw makes it more fun. The delay is 15
I
seconds.
couldn't
Holy
have done
moly.
better myself. Well, actually, I could. This time, try to think more like me. Begin drawing 2.
I thought people said it was fine. It's a Flash website. Seems really no, maybe. The game is like an actual game. Like, I bought it off Steam.
Time is about to expire. You may want to finish up. Last drawing, let's get weird with it. Begin.
Do you have an email for contact for your
Only
YouTube channel
seconds
profile?
remain.
Yeah, you can reach me at Tristan at stepbackhistory.com. That's usually the best way to get a hold of me for business and stuff.
I love to watch true masters at work. For your last exercise, you will write as many slogans or phrases as you can. These have nothing to do with your drawing, so just put those out of your mind. And don't let hubris consume you. Use a suggestion if you need one. Go! Keep writing, write like the wind. Make haste before time runs out. Nice hustle. Let's find out if it was worth it. The time for training is over. Have a look at your device. Select one drawing and one slogan to create the perfect t-shirt combination. And I do mean perfect.
Did you know Elon Musk's full name is Elongated Muskrat?
Time grows short. Hurry up and finish already. Fine. The battlefield calls. Let the
All right, here we
tournament
go, guys.
begin.
Here we go, friends.
Gauntlet 1. Versus... Fight. Fight by submitting your votes on your devices, that is.
Hey, would you consider doing an episode on the genocide against the Uyghurs taking place in China right now? It's already on my list to do
A
that.
new challenger appears. Fight each other. Versus... Go ahead and fight already. A new challenger appears. I want you to fight. A new challenger appears. Battle!
I should raid Izzy Bear if they're still on. Yeah, if she's still on when we finish this game, I probably will. Typically, my go-to is to raid the person who's streaming that has the lowest view count.
The reigning champion wins ties. Next time, get more votes.
Izzy's in range.
A new challenger appears.
Yes.
Attack!
Fucking destroyed that water, holy crap.
A new
Need a
challenger
video
appears.
on the accurate history of the Aztecs and Spanish genocide. Maybe something like it was Spanish propaganda. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Fuck, I drew a flag wrong. Yeah, I don't think it has an uwu on it, right? That's the problem, right? Oh, man.
Winners! How about a training break?
The uwu was
Use your
for the
devices
last.
to
Yeah, there
enter
you
one
go.
new drawing and as many new slogans as you wish. Make me proud. Go! If you didn't qualify for the tournament, don't fret. Simply join the audience to submit your suggestions and vote on your favorite shirts.
It's alright. If you do an anarchist flag wrong, it'd just be like, fuck rules, right?
Time is about to expire. You may want to finish up.
I want the joke of like, Ben Empanada has an excellent... See, I'm seeing the two chats crossing over, and I was like, Ben Empanada has an excellent video about uwu.
That time is not for decoration. Finish quickly. The second gauntlet awaits, and the slimy tentacles of destiny have shuffled your drawings and slogans. Make a new shirt. Do it!
You think there's a troll? God damn it. I feel like Jackbox
Haste before time runs out.
runs so much on the honor system that I'm gonna end up with like some bullshit. Oh man, that sucks.
Feel good about that, hmm? Well, we'll see. Gauntlet 2. Versus... Fight for me, babies. Fight.
Why does the computer home screen keep flickering? It's something that happens when I change Windows, I think. Someone drew a vagina. Oh god.
Oh, a new challenger.
Whatever.
Engage one another in violence.
I used that, thought it was a tongue. That's great. Don't worry about it. I feel like even the best vagina drawn with like the art thing in 2KO is not going to be super realistic.
A new challenger appears. Attack.
Is that not okay? I don't particularly care. As long as it's not hateful, I don't particularly care.
A new challenger
Would be a
appears.
great slogan for the left in 2020.
Fight.
Trans rights. If you can I compare Tenochtitlan to any European city, it's sad to see how far we set that. Yeah. Tenochtitlan was a fucking, like, masterpiece of a city.
A new challenger appears.
Damn.
Attack! A new challenger appears. Attack!
Obey Your Thirst 2020. Yeah, that sounds good. Oh shit, the audience breaks it. See you later, Ulysses.
Versus. Engage in an altercation.
Oh my god. Tristan, become furry, please. Oh man. I'm not cool enough for that, sorry.
The defending champion wins ties. Bad luck for you, new meat. Winners! The final gauntlet is
Yeah, I
here,
have a
and only
handful
the
of furry
best shirts
fans,
from the
so-
previous rounds remain. The tournament ends here. Versus. Fight. Versus. Fight. The tie goes to the defender.
Damn.
Versus. Fight. We have a champion.
Damn.
I think we have the centerpiece for my full line.
Good stuff. Alrighty, let me just get that closed. Okay, so we're gonna go and raid for everybody who's watching on Twitch. We're gonna go and raid Izzy. But for everybody here, before we sort of call it for the night, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming out to the stream. It's been a really fun evening, and be sure to tune in at 2 p.m. on Friday for the reactor. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. So everybody, let's make sure Izzy's still streaming. She is. So for everybody who's on Twitch, I'm gonna go pay her a visit. and everybody else. Take care of yourselves and each other, because we don't do that enough. Have a good night, everybody.